Zion AME Church, Devon, is the oldest recorded African American church of any denomination on the entire main line. The cornerstone was laid October 1861. Well, my name is Bertha Jackman, and I'm the church historian here at Mount Zion AME Church, Devon.
My name is Belly Bagbanon. I am the eldest son of Miss Bertha Jackman, and I am a high school history teacher and supporter of Mount Zion AME Church, Devon.
Oh my goodness, it's been close to 55 years since I've been in here.
Oh, beautiful.
Dear God, I don't want to cry.
You can if you want.
Look at Mount Zion. It's just like I remember. They would have your Christmas and Easter programs, and I was always very proud to be able to get the piece, an Easter piece that you would learn and recite in front of the congregation.
The Black churches played a big role in the social life of Black people in the different township, and all of them, actually, up and down the main line, really. It gave us a stability, somewhere to go, a place of belonging.
If something happened to someone in the community where there was some form of discrimination, the adults would come and they'd meet at the church and try to find ways to resolve the issue, to support the person.
The school fight was a organized, strategic, and pragmatic boycott by dozens of Black families whose children attended schools in the different Easttown School District.
Mount Zion was the meeting place. That's why Mount Zion is on the National Register of Historic Places. It turned out to be a stepping stone, a training ground for the civil rights that happened in the 50s.
Not only was the Berwyn school fight 22 years before the passing of Brown v. Board legislation, but it was also 16 years before the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. It resonates not only regionally, not only nationally, but I would even argue globally to a certain extent.
Bless your heart.
It's just the fact that you're standing here after 50-some years.
Yeah.
In this little church where you learned and started your music career, and you up here playing the piano.
God is good.
God is great. We're on what they call the main line, which is about 17 mile stretch, depending on how you count it, from Overbrook, let's say Overbrook train station in Philadelphia, out to Paoli.
We're leaving the old church right now and the cemetery that's connected right next to it. And where we're headed is we're going into the new church, which is what we actually use today. The congregation and many of the people who come to visit Mount Zion AME Church in Devon have been using this building since 1990. The old church, we're trying to preserve it and restore it so that maybe one day we can continue to use the building.
Reverend Martin, Lorraine Speller Calhoun, and yours truly visited the Meslek Design Studio to see the process of their restoration of our stained glass windows. They are working on those windows. They're storing them for us to reinstall the windows once we get the roof done. What I understand in my research, these windows, the stained glass went in somewhere around the early 1920s, and that they all did not go in at the same time.
I'm quite sure when these windows were placed, they were not expecting that new church to be built. This would have been it forever until Jesus came back. It was just something people wanted to leave so that their family member would remember for decades to come. Their heritage, their legacy was here in Mount Zion in one of these windows.
We know black folks have been here in Different Township. We've been here, whether as free people or enslaved people. We've been here. Who are these people? What are their stories? How are they related to folks that are living today? That's my focus. That's what I want to know. Do the people that are living today know this? Do they know about people in their family history, how they participated in history?
This cemetery is the only African American cemetery of any denomination on the main line.
We don't know how many people are buried here. We don't know the very first funeral. I would love to know that, but we're still investigating, and that's an ongoing process.
My name is Tia Mannon. My relationship to Different Township is my ancestors who are buried here at Mount Zion, Devon. My grandmother always got angry with me because I didn't listen to her stories. My father found my grandmother's historical interview from 1984, and suddenly I had, a name to look for.
Sophia is an interesting character. She's like one of my heroes. Sophia came along and raised my grandmother.
I'd seen the pictures on Find a Grave. I still didn't make the connection. I still did not make the connection. I literally stumbled upon the gravestone one day. I was like, oh wow, there it is. There's so much excitement in just going into an archive and be like, you got this record. And yeah, I got bit by the history bug.
Archival research, particularly here at Mount Zion AME Church in Devon, is one critical step in order to fit into the larger tapestry of what African Americans were doing up and down the main line.
Identifying, those any unmarked graves there, that would be phenomenal. That would be phenomenal.
My specialization is in what you call remote sensing. So one of the first techniques we used was magnetic gradiometry. This is Miss Jackman here collecting electrical resistance data. We did a ground penetrating radar survey. The box inside has an antenna that sends a radio signal down. That radio signal bounces off of changes of, say, a grave shaft or the top of a coffin. We can begin the process of relocating people who are accounted for in the registry for the cemetery that Ms. Jackman has. This is a topography, so every one of these black splotches is a slight depression. So combination of that and the radar tells us that there's probably one there. Look, there's a mark though. This one. Who knows what this rectangle is?
Could you contextualize the significance of seeing your ancestors' gravestones and the potential of unmarked graves here in this cemetery?
Just to know who we came from, what their story was. What did they see? What did they come through? What jobs did they have? How did they live?
It's so powerful, and these are the shoulders we stand on. That's why we need to tell these stories.
There was a newspaper article talking about this church, and I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but they said, well, he predicts in a few short years, they're going to be forced out and the church will not exist within a few years. And that was in the early 70s. Guess what? This church, the congregation, and black folks on the main line are still here.
I don't know how my mother walked her trouble down. I don't know how my father stood his ground. I don't know how my people survived slavery.